Okay, continuing on, why don't you guys pause the video and try to do this one, and then check back and play to see the answer and if you got it right. So again, you have to complete the square. We need the squared variables to be on one side, everything else to be on the other. X is squared here, so the x is on one side. X squared plus 4x. And then I want, that should say a 4. Everything else on the other side. So I'm going to add over this 2y. I'm going to add over this positive 2. Then I have to find b over 2 quantity squared. B is 4 here, so that's 4 over 2 squared. And 4 over 2 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So we're adding that to both sides. X squared plus 4x plus 4 is going to equal 2y plus 2 plus 4. Now I can factor on the left side. That's going to give me x plus 2 squared. On the right side, I get 2y plus 6. And then last step, you have to factor out on the right side. I'm going to take out a 2, and it gives me y plus 3. Because y is single, this is going to be vertical. And this is my equation. My vertex is hk. H is negative 2. K is negative 3. Changing the signs because they're in parentheses. Your focus now is h comma k plus p, but we have to find p. This number here is 2, and that equals 4p. So then p is going to equal 1/2. And I will go ahead and rewrite that a little nicer. 1/2. So my focus is going to be h, which is negative 2, comma negative 3 plus 1/2. And you can write this in decimal form or fractional form. I'm just going to write it in decimal form. Negative 3 plus 1/2 gives you negative 2.5, or negative 2.5. Lastly, we want to find the directrix. And that's y equals k minus p. So it's going to equal negative 3 minus 1/2. And negative 3 minus 1/2 is negative 3.5, or negative 3.5. So I can go ahead and graph my directrix at negative 3.5. The vertex is at negative 2, negative 3. And your focus is at negative 2, negative 2.5. So there's your focus. And your vertex will bend around your focus and away from your directrix. And let's move on. Here, find your vertex, focus, directrix, and graph if you get your equation like this. Well, we can just move this over because we only want the squares on one side. So if you subtract this whole parenthesis from both sides, you then get y minus 2 quantity squared equals negative quantity x plus 3. Your x is single, so this is going to be horizontal. And then your vertex, change the sign for h, change the sign for k. We get negative 3, positive 2. This number here is -1. -1 equals 4p. That number always equals 4p, so p will equal -1/4. Your focus is h plus p, comma k. So -3 plus -1/4, comma k, which is 2. And I'm going to write that as a decimal. So that's going to be -3.25, comma 2. And you can write that as a fraction if you want. That's fine. And your directrix, because it's horizontal, it's going to be x equals, and x equals h minus p. So it's -3 minus -1/4. Two negatives make a positive, and that is -2 3/4, or -2.75. So you found all your stuff. Now we can graph. Your directrix, x equals almost 3, almost -3. So that's going to be here. And your focus, your vertex is -3, comma 2. So that's super close, your vertex. And your focus is -3.25. So it's very, very close, comma 2. And we will bend around it. And our p is negative, so our graph is negative, so our graph is going to the left. So pause the video now and try to do this next one. And when you're done, you can resume the video to see if you're right. And this is our last one. So again, we want to keep our squares on one side, move over is 8 times y plus 2. So I get x minus 1 quantity squared equals -8, comma y plus 2. It's going to be vertical because your y is by itself. Your y is your single variable. -8 equals 4p. That's that number in front. So then p has to equal -2. Your vertex given in the problem, x is going to be 1, comma, your y component will be -2. Your focus for vertical is h, comma, k plus p. So what's 1, comma, -2 plus -2, which gives you -4. And your directrix is going to be y equals equation because it's vertical. And that's y equals k minus p. So -2 minus -2. Negative and then negative make a positive, and this gives you 0. So y equals 0 is horizontal line. That's your directrix. Your vertex is 1, comma, -2. And that's your vertex. And your focus is 1, -4. And your vertex bends around your focus and away from your directrix. And that is parabolas.